Movements October 7, 2016. And I just want people to realize out there that one of the most powerful government organizations, the agency, is FEMA. FEMA could order evacuation, a mandatory evacuation. FEMA could put in place martial law. FEMA could take away your rights. FEMA could suspend laws of the county, the state, and the country, folks. FEMA could announce this at any time in a moment of war, from a natural disaster, and all this stuff. So one of the most powerful organizations in our government is FEMA. And FEMA was not designed for that. FEMA was designed to help people out from natural disasters. All right, folks? And to support them and get people prepared. And not be able to call the National Guard to order martial law. Or not to suspend the laws of the county, the state, the country, and take over. All right, folks? So FEMA is one of the shadowest government's agency that we know. Because FEMA can take away if a war happens, if natural emergency, they could detain you, they could arrest you without any rights, even if you did nothing wrong. So FEMA could arrest you, detain you. FEMA could suspend the law of the county, the law of the state, the law of the country on you during an act of war or natural disaster when it's declared a state of emergency. So I did a video this September, on Osiris REX that I seen on CNN and the secret meaning, and I found Rex84. Rex84, short for Readiness Exercise 1984, was a classified scenario and drill developed by the United States federal government to detain large number of United States citizens deemed to be national security threats in the event that the president declared a state of a national emergency. All right. The plan was first revealed in detail in a major daily newspaper by reporter Alfonso Cherry on July 5, 1987, the Miami Herald. Possible reason for such a roundup were reported to be widespread opposition to U.S. military invasion abroad, such as if the United States were directly invaded by Central America. So if a whole bunch of people hopping the border from Mexico into America, a whole bunch of illegal immigrants coming in here, they got Rex84. Also, Rex84 is existent of a master military plan of which Rex84 was a part, called Garden Plot. So what is Garden Plot? Department of Defense Civil Disturbance Plans, also known by its cryptonym. Garden Plot is a general U.S. Army National Guard plan to respond to major domestic civil disturbance within the United States. The plan was developed in response to the civil disorder of the 1960s and is now under the control of U.S. NORTHCOM, or as we know, NORTHCOM. It provides federal military and law enforcement assistance to local government during times of major civil disturbance. The Garden Plot plan, drafted after the Watts, Newark, and Detroit riots, captured the times when the document was drawn up. Garden Plot was last activated as Noble Eagle to provide military assistance to civil authorities following the September 11, 2001 attack on the United States. The Pentagon also activated to restore order during the 1992 LA riots under Homeland Security restriction. It has been suggested that similar models be followed. Oversight of these Homeland Security missions should be provided by the National Guard Bureau based on long-standing Garden Plot model in which the National Guard's units are trained and equipped to support civil authorities and crowd control and civil disturbance mission. All right, the reason I'm reading that is because Rex84. All right, so if the President of the United States ever declare a state of a national emergency, all right, and we don't see plenty of that. in our lifetime since 2001. We also seen states of emergency from natural disaster by FEMA. All right, folks. But FEMA, like I said, is one of the worst agencies that we know. FEMA has so much power that they could order mandatory evacuation, call in the National Guards, detain you, put you in FEMA camps. And yes, there's FEMA camps because Rex84, what they did was bought up all old military bases. What they did was bought up all old train depots that are major buildings next to railroads like Detroit Old or Buffalo. These old train stations, put new windows, put fences around them with new security. Those are FEMA camps, folks, to detain large amount of civilization. And they're all over the country. In every single city, in every single state, in every single county, there is a FEMA camp that Ben built and his staff, even though there ain't no one there yet, but his staff, and there's some places where people are, and that's a whole different other video and story. But FEMA could detain you at any time. FEMA could wipe the laws of the land away that you aren't affecting. You ain't got no rights as a civilization in the United States of America. FEMA could detain you, order martial law. FEMA. And I survived Hurricane Katrina. During Hurricane Katrina, this is the reason I'm saying this. FEMA, during Hurricane Katrina, called martial law after the storm. And after the storm, you had National Guards, boots on the ground. And what they did was went door to door, knocking on people's door to make sure they're alive. That's what they tell you on the news. But the real media blackout is they went door to door, knocked on the door, and it didn't matter. And they went door to door too for this. I mean, it didn't matter if you were home or not, but they bust down every single door on every single street, every single house that stood staying. And the people that stayed there, they went through the whole property. And they said if you don't stop, sit down, they're going to shoot you. And underneath FEMA, and if they well, let me get in the story. So there was a couple old people, and they came knocking at the door, and they bust down the door. And the people didn't want to leave their houses. So they said, okay, but they went throughout the whole premises, tore it up like a raid, without no warrants. And without no warrants, they were looking for guns and knives and anything that could hurt them. All right? Since martial law, evacuation, been declared because of Hurricane Katrina, and if anyone got in their way, it doesn't matter if you're old, young, or whatever, they went door to door, can't escape, and it was a test to see if they could really get away with it, and they did. They went door to door to see if people were alive, but really, it wasn't for that. They took everyone's weapon. Second Amendment. They took everyone's right away. They arrested and detained people. They didn't follow in pursuit without no rights. You ain't got no rights. Without no warrants. You ain't got no warrants when FEMA calls a national disaster and declares martial law and a mandatory evacuation. Before I get into this, Executive Order 11051, prescribing responsibility of the Office of Emergency Planning and the Executive Office of the President. And this link's going to be at the bottom. It tells you what FEMA's all about. This is the natural thing. This is what, if the president declares a state of emergency in your state or with the governor and FEMA comes in, they can have martial law like that. And trust me, after a storm, and we're going to see it because martial law has already been declared, not martial law. They don't come out and say martial law. They tell you mandatory evacuation. And a mandatory evacuation of 1 million South Carolina residents for Hurricane Matthew double as martial law drill. Link's going to be at the bottom. All right. This U.S. concentration camp's going to be at the bottom. How the Rex84 program bought all the military. But during the storm, Hurricane Matthew, even though it's Category 3-2, even though you should evacuate and not be on the coast, but it's up to you. All right. If you think you're going to struggle out and have a hurricane party and board up all the windows and party down during the hurricane and cook all the food that's left in your fridge, go for it. No one's stopping you. All right, it's only a Category 2 right now. And this is a harp steer hurricane anyways. It's made. And we're going to have another video after this. But the reason I'm bringing up Rex84 is because I survived Hurricane Katrina. And that was a disaster. This Hurricane Matthew ain't going to be nowhere near Hurricane Katrina. Not even near Hurricane Sandy. All right. But when South Carolina, because this is the first time they ever really had mandatory evacuation if you live on the coast. It's different when they tell you to evacuate. You should evacuate. Yeah, there's mandatory, but not every single person, you know? If you stayed behind, there should be people. But if you stayed behind after the storm, and the hard places like Daytona that have been hit, right now, Jacksonville that's getting hit right now, and on the Georgia coastline, we're going to see a lot of floods coming in the next couple of days. Definitely in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, until Sunday as it dips back around, and hopefully this thing doesn't come back, regain strength, and do a double whammy. But for the first time ever, South Carolina, mandatory evacuation, 1 million people. Same on the Georgia coast. Same if you live on the east coast of Florida. All right. In South Carolina, what they tell you is that a man shot by deputies in evacuation dispute dies. So this motorist was in a line. All right, a motorist shot during an altercation with South Carolina deputies over Hurricane Matthew evacuation route has died. This dude, instead of waiting in line and for this evacuation route, right? You think, why would they put up road signs? Why would they stop you? But whatever, they were stopping people while they're evacuating from South Carolina. Fema. Alright, this dude decided to get out of line and go. So he got in a cop chase, and the cop said this dude pulled out a gun and they shot him. You don't hear that in the news. We don't even know what really happened. They don't even show you the video. But under FEMA, mandatory evacuation, when they declare state of emergency, Florida declared state of emergency, the governor did, Georgia, South Carolina, and on the coasts of North Carolina, they declared state of emergency. When they declare it, then FEMA comes in with the National Guards, boots on the ground, waiting for the storm to pass, so they come in. They're going to go door to door, make sure you're all right. Now, if you ain't there, they're going to just come in your house, make sure it's clear and leave. But if you are in your house, they're going to come in without warrants and destroy your house and take any guns you got, just like they did in Hurricane Katrina. If you cause any problems, they will detain you and warn you. And if you get in their way and try to fight back, they're going to shoot you dead. And they would say that's a casualty of the storm. No one's going to know that you're dead. It'd be a media blackout. The whole place is under martial law and they got the rights. They ain't going to be on the news. All right, folks. And this is another interesting article. South Carolina coast, nobody is evacuating. Nikki Haley urges coastal residents to get moving. And you shouldn't be on the edge of the coast ready to get hit by a hurricane. I absolutely agree. But if you don't want to leave, that's your own dumb fault, you know? So why would he declare martial law and force people to leave? Even though people aren't going to leave anyways. But after the storm, that's the problem you got to worry when the National Guards come in if your town got hit hard. All right. So South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley is confronting priceless such a scenario in her home state as Hurricane Matthew approaches the East Coast. All right. According to Haley, only 175,000 coastal residents have heeded her warning and evacuate in advance of the storm. That is not enough, Haley said. We asked yesterday whether coastal residents were staying or leaving. In response, Haley evacuation order. And subsequently, lane reversal on Interstate 26 and other major throughway. Clearly, the answer is staying, which we're guessing is a response to recent forecasts showing Matthew's project path moving farther off the Palm State coastline. Haley ordered evacuation for Bedford, Berkeley, Charleston, and a whole bunch of states, all right? Excuse me. But clearly, nobody's going anywhere. At least, not left. All right. More than 1 million South Carolina live along the state 187-mile coastline. They're calling for evacuation since earlier this week. And now the hurricane is upon your doorstep. All right. Now, if you decide not to leave and stay home, that's your dumb idiot. ideal. You know, if you live on the coast. Now, if you live a mile or so off the coast, if you stay, board up your window and have a hurricane party and cook everything you got in your fridge that you had there for years and just eat up all the food and drink, you know, a hurricane party. You know, that's what it's called. It's a hurricane party. And you think you're going to survive? You're all right. Stay. It's the United States, right? Wrong. Once they declare state of emergency, martial law follows after the storm. If your city been hit hard, all right, even if they declare it, you're still going to see National Guards everywhere. They're not going to go door to door, but if you're living in a town that been hit hard, they're going to make sure they're going to go door to door like they did in Katrina, knock, and they're going to clear the house. Now, if there ain't no one there, they're going to just say clear and leave. But if you do live there, you could be an old woman. They're going to come in, harass you, look around your house, and take away your guns, and ask you, why did you stay? And if you try to give them trouble, they're going to detain you and arrest you there. They could just arrest you, period, if they just want to arrest you and detain you, all right, for you not leaving, all right? And if you cause trouble, they could shoot you dead and call you a casualty of the storm. So I'm going to bring you more reports on this weird kind of martial law, state of emergency declaration for Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, all right, for future events, Fema. The President of the United States could declare this at any time if we went to war with Russia, if a major terrorist attack happened, if a major earthquake or asteroid coming. And I found out Rex84 garden plot, and all these people are talking about from the asteroid that did, a piece of it, went off the coast of Australia from Osiris. REX went up to that 2009 ES comet. All right, folks, and we got another major comet coming our way, a major asteroid. And there's a media blackout on this, and I'm going to bring more information on that. I just want people out there, be prepared. I want you guys to know that you ain't got no rights underneath the most powerful agency in our government called Fema. Rex84, they bought old military bases, turned them into FEMA camps. Every single city, state, every single place, every single county got a FEMA camp. All right? And it's right next to a railroad. Concentration camps. That's what they are. It's concentration camps. They detain a large amount of people anytime they want. And during a state of emergency, if you ain't got no homes, you're going to a FEMA camp. Or just like in Hurricane Katrina, those FEMA camps were trailers that people live off FEMA. All right. They could come and detain you anytime for you not leaving. They could shoot you dead. Without any rights. You ain't got no rights during evacuation. FEMA could do all this stuff. All right, and they're preparing for something else. Now, if you live throughout the country and you look at highways, what highways are military routes. People don't know that. But the truth is, every single highway you see, if you went on I-96, I-75, or any kind of highway you go on it, that's not really for civilian use. It was only civilian use all the way up from the 1960s and beyond. Before that, they were called military routes. Those are each highway is a military route. And what's weird about these military routes or highways, right, is that they're expanding them, all right, for armored vehicles, for military vehicles to be able to come down, large amount of them, down the interstate, down the military highway. All right, each highway is a military route throughout the country. That's what they were made for. It wasn't made for civilian usage. All right, highways were made for military trucks, military cargoes, military personnel. All right, but they incorporate, since they want you to think that you're free, into highways so people can use them. All right, this is the No Face Moon. Please hit the like button. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. This is the movement. Move. Until next time, facing off.